How would you describe Alan the person? That is a difficult one. I took it to my daughter and her daughter, and Jamie said, after talking about the fact that he never talked about him, the kindertransport, or him being Jewish even. And I asked Julia, I said, when did you first know about it? She said, oh, probably when I was about 5. So I told her the story of, she was in nursery school. She wasn't quite, she was 4 and a half or something. When she was in nursery school, there was a little Jewish boy, Marshall, who always dressed up in girls' clothes. And so they were talking about this, she and Mark, at the dinner table one night, and in derogatory terms, and about him being Jewish. So I said to them, your father is Jewish. And all 3 of them, it was like a curtain was drawn. No discussion, no nothing. And he didn't talk about it. He didn't, even to me. When we met, he was very cool. It's kind of, not cool, but he said there was something about him that I might not like or something like that. So he kept saying this. I said, well, tell me what it is. Oh, so we went on vacation to Prince Edward Island, and he said, I'll tell you when we get there. So day 1 went by, day 2 went by. So finally I said, come on, you have to tell me. He said, well, I'm Jewish. I said, my God, is that all? I was so surprised, because, I had no such feelings, So, but even, so even after that, there was not much discussion, except I knew his parents were in Vienna. They had come, that was 1951, so they came back in 47. And he didn't start talking about it until one day Julia had seen an article in the newspaper, the San Francisco Chronicle, about the Holocaust Center and the fact that they were taking stories, video, doing videos of people. And she said, why don't you look into this? She called him and said, so he did, and from then on it was an open book, They videoed him, you have the videos, and then they asked him if he would do some interviews, because a lot of the people wanted to speak in German, and he still spoke German. So that may tell you a little bit about what kind of a person he was. I always had the feeling that when he came out on that train, his subconscious somewhere said to him, I'm never going to let anything like this happen again. Or I'm not going to be hurt like this ever again. And he internalized the whole thing. Because he could not verbalize his emotions. He just never did, never could. And so when I was talking to Julia and Jamie said he was haunted. And I think that was a good word to use. It didn't show all the time, of course, but where it mattered. So Alan and his mother were running the business. Alan would go down with a key and open up, and so the men could come in and work. And so one morning, an SS man and a civilian came to the door, pounding on the door, and they were so scared. And they said, we are going to take your business. We'll pay you so much for it, And his mother said, all right, you know, and give us the keys. Gave him the keys. That was the end of the business. So then he had nothing to do. I think that was in 38? September of 38? Yes, I think. And then there was Kristallnacht in November of 38. So his mother got, so I'm getting mixed up here. So that was the end of the business. So after they had come back in 1947, Alan went to see them in his British officer's uniform, and his father said he wanted to get the business back. So lo and behold, the man that had taken it, the civilian man, was in prison for being a Nazi. And so, and that day, he was going to court. So Alan swaggered into the courtroom and said, I want to see that man and talk to that man. So the judge said, all right. So, and the man practically got down on his hands and knees. Oh, you're still alive, you know. I'm so glad you're still alive. And Alan said, yes, and we want the business back, and we'll pay you the same amount that you paid us. Oh, yes. So he got his business back right away. Amazing. I could just see Alan doing that too.